Okay, well, you got your first project. Now, how do you start? So I wanted just to go through a few things here on how to start preparing this poster. Number one, we need to make a new file, and that size is 8.5 by 11. So it's a regular letter size. You have the option of doing both portrait or landscaped. However, portrait fits best when hung up on bulletin boards. So I would my suggestion would be to stick with portrait. All right, if you wanted to set your margins, any columns, I would just uncheck facing pages and go ahead and click OK. So now we just have a single page. We don't even need to worry about the pages panel because we have one page. So a couple of quick things. All items need a container. So you can start your initial layout with creating containers. You can create a rectangle container, and if you hold down shift you're going to get a perfect box. Same thing with circles, polygons. So you need to create containers, and that's the starting point. So say, and at this point I do not have to define whether this is going to be a picture or if it's going to be text. So I maybe have this container here that's going to be my logo. Then I'm going to have all of the pictures here. So I could create boxes, and what I would make sure that you do is align all of your containers. So you want to make sure that they are neat and clean. So either by going to Object Layout and Align, this is the Align panel, which lets you align things on a center point or left-right type of edges. You want to make sure that you are aligning to either a selection or to the page, which will go all the way to the edge, or maybe to margins, which will allow you that margin. The other thing you can do is drag out guides. So use the ruler and drag out some guides to line things up. All right, a fast way, I'm going to give you a tip here. When you click and drag with the rectangle tool here, I drag out a box. If I hold shift, I get a square. Okay, I'm going to hold shift again here to show you. Now, a fast way to make a bunch of containers at one time, while I still have my mouse down, I'm still dragging my box, I'm holding shift to make a square. I can use my up and down arrow keys and side by side, and I'm dragging to make them larger. So I can create rows, and you could just create enough here. So we've got a 4 by 4, this is 16. So say I snap this to my edge right here, let up everything. So now I would just have to delete or use one of these containers for text. So I could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I could take these two here and I could delete. Now I have containers ready for my pictures. You're going to have to go to File and Place and save those images of the recipients in a folder by themselves. If I wanted to grab them all at one time, I actually could select them all and open them all at once. When I do that, I'll get a loaded cursor, and this will allow me to click on boxes and place the pictures in. So you can see what's happening now. Some of these pictures, and it's just toggling through. If I want to use my arrow keys, I can navigate to try to position some of these. You know, if I wanted, them to fill in, okay? Now, if I wanted, I think that this one is there, but it ended up being tiny. I'm going to have to resize them. Now, you can go into Photoshop and you can do some alterations if you feel comfortable. You don't need to. The big thing here is that you have to make sure that you are, I'm going to select this frame, that you are fitting appropriately. So you have to fit this, fill the frame proportionally or fill the content proportionally. Now if I fill content proportionally, I'm going to end up with some extras on the side. Let me just zoom in here to show you. Okay, so I have some extra space. That's probably not the look I'm going for. So I'm going to select this frame again, right click, go to framing, and now I want to maybe fill the frame proportionally. Well, guess what just happened? You don't want to stretch. So this one worked, and I can actually go to my direct selection tool and move things around to make it fit. You do not want to, now here's this picture, see how large it is? You can see the big border around. You do not want to stretch and make it fit. You don't want to fill the frame or fit the content to frame, because you are going to start stretching, and that's an absolute no. The other thing you don't want to do is go ahead and just grab, when you click on a picture, I say, oh, well, here's the edge, let's just do this. No, because now you just messed up the proportions of that individual. So that is not what you want to do. The best way is to go to fitting. So I'm right clicking, going to fitting, and I want to fill the frame proportionally, and then using my arrow keys or making sure you're on your direct selection tool, fit it to the box. Okay, just position it in. So it's going to have different sized faces. You might want to try to make them be consistent. I'm going to tell you it's going to be tricky because all the pictures are different. So you're going to have to play around with that a bit, and maybe the positioning. Okay. One more thing before you, and then you're going to bring in your logo. So again, I can place that in there. I can find out where I have my logo at. Here they are, they're Illustrator. So say I wanted to bring in this Illustrator document right here. Click open. Again, I get the loaded cursor, and maybe I want it to put in this box, and there it is. Now another thing that will happen, this logo looks pretty crummy at this time, and some of the pictures will look bad as well. It's because of the display. So I can again right click and go to display performance. Right now it's on typical, which will allow a lower quality. They'll print a little bit better than what you see, but to make sure, you can go to high quality, and there we can see how it really will look. So by default it's on a typical display. It looks not as good, and you can do that with the pictures as well, where you are playing around with those displays. Oops. Right clicking on it, get a high quality display, and you can see how the picture just cleaned up a bit. The reason why it's a lower quality is to allow for faster work in InDesign. So after you have gotten your text in there, you've got the logo, you've got all of the pictures, one thing you do have to make sure of is to embed the pictures. So you need to go to your links panel. I'm going to bring the links panel up, and in the links panel you have the option, and it may look different here. We have information about each one of the links. I have a scroll bar. The number here indicates what page number it's on. What I need to do is make sure that each one of these is embedded, and we do have some ways that we can go and do some edits. We can go to link, we can relink a missing, but what we want to do is embed this. So if by right clicking, again, I can do an embed link, I get an icon. I can also go into the drop down menu and embed link, and what I am doing with these pictures is I'm placing them in InDesign. So now they're not linked to an external file, but rather they are part of my InDesign document. Your document size will increase pretty large. However, we need to have these pictures here, otherwise you'll have a missing picture and it will not print at all. The quality will be absolutely horrible, and it will be noticeable. So make sure that you embed all of your links, that you embed all of your pictures and logo and whatever else you place in here, so that when you turn this project in, all of them are there. I don't have any missing link errors. If you're creating any kind of unique font, some of you know this already, you need to go to type and create outlines. So if I'm choosing a font, and by unique I mean pretty much anything other than an Arial or Times New Roman, and you're going to want to stick with more of a sans serif, I would say, because the sizes are going to be a little bit smaller. It's going to be hard. But say I use this Jungle Fever. This is the font I want to use. I might not have Jungle Fever personally when I open your file, or the printer will not have it when we send it to be printed. So what you need to do is convert it to outlines. One last thing before I convert this to outlines, I want to talk about the vertical alignment, which is in week 3's lesson. But the vertical alignment, if I go under Object and go to Text Frame Options right here, I'm able to change my alignment vertically. Right now it's stuck to the top. If all of yours are stuck to the top, maybe that works great. But when you put the names underneath the children or beside or wherever, you may have to change this alignment. And so this is where I can change it. So you can see now it's centered. Now it's at the bottom. Justify would work if you had multiple lines. So top, center, bottom. So depending on how you want that to look. Now because of this font, I need to outline it. So I'm going to go under type and create outlines. Now it'll be it'll be individual. So now I can go ahead and see the anchor points and paths and all kinds of fun stuff on them. I can be assured now that this will print in the correct way. It will not do a substitution. All right, so there's a couple of key points, I guess, as you prepare this poster design. There's a quick turnaround here of a real world project.